a day just like any other day, and I had stopped at the grocery store on my way to work to pick up a few things for lunch. In the checkout line in front of me swayed a gentleman who had a 40-ounce bottle of beer in his hand. I was mesmerized. The following day, I would be graduating a 2-year program for my own drug and alcohol addiction. The checker announced $2.09, and yes, I remember. The gentleman reached into his pocket, swaying, pulled out change, put it onto the conveyor belt, and continued to count out $2.09 in pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. This was surreal to me. The checker took the bottle of beer, put it in a brown bag, handed it back to the gentleman, who clutched it, and with his head to the floor, headed towards the door and disappeared from my life forever. It was at that moment that I realized that there was chatter going on amongst the checkers. And it seems that what I had just witnessed was dirt, and dirt's early morning ritual. This was the nickname that they gave this gentleman. Dirt was in again this morning. Dirt didn't look so good. Dirt didn't smell so good. And Dirt'll be back tomorrow. Now, I drove there in my car, and I paid for my items with dollar bills, and I was headed to work, and later that evening I would be going home. But would it surprise them to know that 2 years prior to walking into that grocery store, I didn't look or behave much differently than the man they called Dirt? Should I stand up for my fellow addict? Should I tell them, I'm Dirt, you're talking to Dirt, as they tried to engage me into this conversation? Should I be judging them as harshly as they judged the gentleman named Dirt? It was that day that had such a profound effect on me. I can remember it as if it happened this morning. That I made the decision that I must recover out loud. Being anonymous is a mistake. How is the community supposed to understand addiction if I don't tell my story? How is the community supposed to see that it happens, recovery happens, if I don't tell my story? I'm really fortunate. I entered a treatment program, like I mentioned before. It's highly recommended by the state of Colorado, by the way. Those are my people. Anyway, entered a treatment program, and I received a sheet of paper. And that sheet of paper read, Principles of Recovery. And it said things on it like, be a member, step slow and steady, avoid your triggers. But at the top of the page read something so loud to me, it spoke so deeply to my heart, that I knew I should not take this piece of paper, shove it in a notebook, and put it in a drawer forever. 4 words: don't feed your monsters. Easy, cool, right? Teri, be nice to Teri, and you be nice to you. It's kind of difficult, though. The longer I stay in recovery, the longer I know that we all have monsters. My hope today is that I can share the process with you and that we can all recover out loud. Like I mentioned, I was really lucky. I was in this class that gave me a really cool sheet of paper. Came with a set of instructions. And the instructions go something like this. An activating event creates an automatic thought, also known as your monster, that creates a feeling or an emotion that creates an action or a reaction resulting in a consequence. And a consequence can be negative or positive. And so let's go over that one more time because it's kind of confusing. And the beautiful thing about this model is that you can work it frontwards and backwards, and I'll demonstrate. Activating event. It was Saturday morning. It was beautiful out. I woke up, I made myself a cup of coffee, and I decided to watch the news or Facebook or whatever you guys want to call it. I got my phone out, I opened up Facebook, and I started to scroll. Oh, cool. Cool. Jenny made a pot roast. Jenny's a great cook. Ron and Mark in a relationship. Love. Duck face, duck. There's my boyfriend, so cute. Love. Duck face, duck face, duck face. TED Talk. They're taking applications for a TED Talk. I know a couple of ladies who did a TED Talk last year, and they're amazing, and I want to do a TED Talk. I think I got some things to share. Duck face, duck face, duck face. I put my phone down, and later that day, I noticed that I'm not feeling well. Not physically so much, but emotionally. Feeling a little sad. And I'm feeling a little defeated. And like I mentioned before, and keep mentioning, I'm really lucky that I know if I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I must have fed a monster. And a little bit about our monsters. We call them automatic thoughts for a reason. They're messages that we send to ourselves daily. And they're killers. And they're cunning. And they're baffling. And they happen so fast that we sometimes can't catch them. I've been doing this for 13 years. Somewhere, I fed my monster. I decide to go back and take a look at the morning and see what happened. How come I don't feel so good today? I'm like, I wake up, I made the coffee, I got a great house, I'm having a good morning. I got on the phone. The internet, Facebook, TED. TED made me feel bad. That's ridiculous, right? I didn't even know what TED was. I know that if I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I need to take a look at my responsibility. TED can't make me feel any kind of way. So I take a moment to reflect. I fed my monster. I told myself that I wasn't good enough. I told myself that I wasn't smart enough. And I told myself that I would fail. These are my monsters, and I know them like the back of my hand. And like I said, I've been doing this for 13 years. So don't be too hard on yourself if every once in a while you feed your monster. If you don't like a situation, you change it, right? So I go back, take my phone out, open up Facebook. Duck face, where is it? Duck face. Mark and Todd, it's complicated. It's only been 2 hours. What's going on? Angry, boyfriend. There it is, TED Talk. Don't feed your monsters, Teri. You're amazing. You know what you want to say. You want to help people. You want to be a bigger help, a bigger cause. Open. Push open. I look at the application. It's easy. I know the answers to all of these questions. This is me. I know what I want to talk about. I fill it out on my phone. I push send. I'm feeling great. I'm having a great day. I didn't feed my monster. And here I am with you. Where do our monsters come from? Why do we have monsters? Like I mentioned, they're automatic thoughts, and they happen so rapidly and so quickly that we don't catch them. So this would suggest that we've been doing this for a very long time. Old messages, old tapes. I'm fortunate. I know where my monsters come from. I grew up with an alcoholic father who was severely abusive. And in some pretty important times in my life, from the ages of 11 to 13, I was bullied every day. I was told, "You're not pretty, you're ugly, your hair's gross, I don't like your pants, what kind of shoes do you have on?" They followed me in school. And then they followed me home. And sometimes they had their older brother or sister be on the corner and threaten to beat me up. Then I would go home to the alcoholic father who was mean to my mom, and I would start all over again the next day. Some of us would say, "Boy, it sure makes sense why you would use drugs and alcohol," right? And it does. But I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want to use that as an excuse. And I will be darned if I let a group of 7th grade girls keep me from being here with you today. If you don't like a situation, change it. If you can't change a situation, change how you feel about it. If you can't change how you feel about it, because let's face it, there are some things that happen that you would be perfectly appropriate to be angry or sad about. We must practice radical acceptance. My hope for you is that you can go back to the place where you first met your monsters. Identify your monsters. Embrace them. Let them go with loving kindness and live your best life. I am brave, I am vulnerable, and I am beautiful. You are brave, you are vulnerable, and you are beautiful. I am learning, and I am change. You are learning, and you are change. I am recovering out loud. I am grateful, and I am dirt.